What up guys, this is Kong and I'm back again for another movie review for you guys. Today I'm going to be talking about the man who created Christmas. I had no idea this was actually about Charles Dickens. Like I said, I go to the movie blindfolded, I go and watch it to be amazed, to be surprised, to be disappointed, to be bewildered, to be disgusted, all that sort of stuff, you know. I feel like that would make going movie more interesting, more fun, more engaging, more like I'm on an adventure. Anyway, let's talk about the pros and then the con and the recommendation and the rating, let's just say. Let's talk about the pros. There's a lot of pros, okay? I like the story of, this is about, as I say, Charles Dickens, his life, a little bit about his life and his experience, or I guess the period of his life when he was trying to write Christmas Carol, the book that we all know and read in school. I like that. I like that the creation of Christmas Carol, how, you know, he take bits and pieces, inspiration from his, I guess, his daily life, or what he sees, and he take inspiration from it. You know, like his brother, I believe it's his brother-in-law and his sister, they had a sick child, and you know, like that was one of the inspiration for little Timmy. There was you know, the rich, and you know, and the poor, servitude. You know, he once working in the I guess you can say the factory for young kids who actually don't have parents, and they have to pay off their parents. I guess you can say debts. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Like he would take bits and pieces and put together to make it a story that we can all sort of relate and have emotional attachment to it. I like that. What else? I like how Charles Dickens have conversation, interaction with his, I guess, his fictional character that he come up with. You know, especially Mr. Scrooge. I mean, Mr. Scrooge is interesting. To me, it's like, oh wow, you know, he's an interesting character. He almost played a mind trick on Charles. I mean, it's like there was like kind of the back and forth bickering, you know, and I like that kind of conversation, that kind of engagement. See, I like how the characters come to his mind, how he, you know, he sees them, but nobody else sees him. It's almost like he's not psychotic, but he is delusional. You know, he's seeing these characters in real life as he sees them. That's interesting. It's a cool take on it. You know, that's how a lot of writers really envision. They envision this being or this character come to life, and that's sort of how you imagine them. I mean, you can't just write on the paper. You gotta think of them as a person, and they communicate with you, and they talk. They become almost a person. They actually become a person. And what else do I want to talk about? Charles struggled to write the book, to you know, his life, his wife, his parents, sort of reflective of in the book, and you sort of see that. He does not mention it himself, but you see the consequences of him trying to be a successful man, trying to provide for his family, for his parents, holding a grudge against his dad, his father, his past, that sort of stuff. It sort of impacted his writing of Christmas Carol. And see, the struggle to finish the book of Christmas Carol by Charles. I mean, he was struggling how to, like, when, you know, finish the book, and how could he make Mr. Ebenezer Scrooge turn a new leaf? How do you make one character who is such miserable, despicable, and lonely to become a happy guy, a nice guy, to become a more humble guy? So he was struggling to find that catharsis, that tipping point for Mr. Scrooge, and I thought that was kind of interesting to see. And Mr. Christopher Plummer as Ebony Scrooge did a wonderful job. I mean, he was superb. I bought that he was Mr. Ebony Scrooge. I love his sequence, him in the I guess you can say the cemetery, the ditch. You know, when they bury you, 8 feet under, and the I guess the ground is like closing up on him. He finally, I guess you could say, confess his what you could say his confession of being scared, being lonely, being he want to do something good. He doesn't want to be forgotten. I thought he delivered it so well, so human, so honest, so genuine, so believable. I mean, it is believable, no doubt. It was sincere. You know, he was like, you know what, I know I'm miserable. I'm a bad person, but I want to do something good before I die. And it's like, man. And that's how Charles Dickens was able to, find his ending, his tipping point for Mr. Scrooge. And I love that sequence. It was just beautiful. Well done, Christopher Plummer. Kudos to you. Now let's talk about the con. There's a few con, I thought about it after I left the movie theater, and I was like, where is this and this? So let's talk about it. I'd like to see more of Charles Dickens' life experience in the movie. I know it is about him writing Christmas Carol. I get it, but maybe just a little bit more in there so we can kind of see him as a young child and as a teenager, so we can sort of grow attachment to it. We can relate to him. Second thing is, how did he meet his best friend, and his business partner? How did they meet? We was never told. It was just like, you know what? We buy it that's his friend. It's like no friend come to becoming friend. You have to build that relationship to become good friends. We don't get it in this movie. It's just he's automatic friend. There's more to him. Those two guys becoming really good friends. What else? I like to see more dramatic sadness, dramatic impact on young Charles Dickens. I mean, obviously he was in the factories, in bad environment. I like to see him being picked on, see him being pushed over, and really, push him, to become the man who he had to become. I would like to see that. Most importantly, the last thing I wonder is, like, where was his mother when his father was in prison? Where was she in the movie? And that part of his life when he was sent to the factories, and where was she? That was never really explained to us as the audience. Was she at home? Was she herself in prison? Maybe I missed that. I don't know. So that was the one thing I was like, where was she the whole time? I mean, one person is in the dead, yes, but what about the others? So those are my cons. So anyway, guys, on that final note, I want to get this movie a rating of 7 out of 10. I actually highly recommend you go see this movie. It's really interesting. The story is interesting. The characters are interesting. The creative work it's interesting. I like the whole movie as a whole. It's a good story. It's a good explanation of who Charles Dickens was, what he had to go through writing Christmas Carol, as we all, read it in school. So, on that final note, please like, thumbs up, share, subscribe, browse my channel. Alright, guys? And most importantly, thank you so much for your time and effort to watching my movie review. I appreciate it. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.